more so playing. They're not really focusing on practice anymore. It's a lot about, you know, locking in our best champs and securing every point possible. Because from now on, since we are, you know, bridging the halfway point, going towards playoffs, it's all about, you know, securing points, making sure every single game counts.
Yeah, as you say, those initial weeks were all about impressions and, you know, finding that degree of synergy and cohesion. But now it's all about repetition. And now it's all about confidence to make sure that you go into those playoffs and you hit that one series and you aren't saying, made a mistake there, didn't have enough stage practice to get comfortable. And I suppose that really does become the sense of occasion, given that these two teams are at the very bottom of the standings right now. Every point is absolutely crucial, especially with the run that they have towards that finish line. And you really will be hoping that KNG can try and salvage something so they don't end this entire split on a donut.
Yeah, definitely, and we see the early ward coming out of Mammoth's side, so they know where the jungle's going to start. It's really important to like track. They do clear the ward away, so something important to note here is this only went to 2 champions, and when the ward is shared between less than 2 champions, as a solo laner, you will reach level 2 on the first wave, which is important for like, you know, catching a surprise trade if Sovereign wants to level up the Valkyrie second, and, you know, create a window to navigate or generate priority in a matchup where you shouldn't really find it.
Would you, just to ask, we had this early game, you know, strategies like that, for example, are those things that you wouldn't really note from solo queue and you don't really experience it when you go into like competitive games, or is it a very well-known trick?
I would say it's like a lesser-known thing. I don't really see this coming out in solo queue. It's a competitive thing where we see, you know, players abuse the, we always see this player ward chickens level 1, let's walk in with the sweeper, and then you find the ward and you're able to generate level 2 on the first wave, which is so big in some of these mage matchups. So we just see Godot invading, which is really important here because it's all about not letting these champs get the full clear. You know, he finds the smite, he's going to go for the trade, Refu's probably going to walk this one off, or he's going to have to flash out at the worst case.
He certainly is going to flash out at the worst case, because right now it's the case of, I'm on vision, my blobs are being popped, Sovereign is here, but Kane's going to do enough damage to try and take this all down before the Corki ramping Gatling gun gets it done in retaliation. Nice sidestep there by Godot, make it a second time! Bro's been absolutely crazy with these moves right now. As Reneka rocks up to the party, Godot is out, 8 HP and a dream! And look at the staunch from Prado saying, I will never leave mid lane. Good luck, Godot.
Yeah, and like we did see Sovereign using his pride to be able to collapse and create that 2v1 scenario, but Godot just did so much work in the 1v1, you know, stealing away the Grom, you know, winning the 1v1 so one-sidedly, and, you know, based on the interview, I thought he was going to play a much slower game, even though he's versing someone who's overall isn't really familiar with these invades. But we just see him constantly invading, taking camps, and being aggressive, even in the last game on the Carthage, so I have to see how much he's able to take over this game, and if Godot is once again going to carry another game for his team.
Well, it certainly seems to be that case, doesn't it? And definitely a different kettle of fish, given that one was a Carthage, the next was a Poppy, but top lane we see potential signs of another kill very early on into this one. Woodon is the focus right now, but Reneko looking to try and deceive him as a very tanky Renekton, but not enough lifesteal in the back pocket just yet. And the Cassante tax has to be paid.
Yeah, and that's one of the like downsides of like you've blown your flash, you've lost a lot of health in the trade level based on what happened on level 2 skirmish. Woodon didn't rotate, so like he's still happy with like, you know, being healthy, being up in experience because his wave was in a good state, and, you know, he finds himself the solo kill.
We're definitely a much more explosive start compared to game 1. All really originating from the chaos in that jungle where flashes were burnt, passives were utilized, and really was that big rush to try and see who could leave their lane first to play assistant. But now we start to wonder where else could this actually really look to try and stem from, because they tried to be aggressive with the Kaiser Nautilus last game, did KNG. They tried to really up the ante by going for the Lucian and Millie, and I feel like this definitely does add a little bit extra sauce to the spice of things, because now they can also pair that with the likes of a Zac, who finds the 2-man grab, but just too close to the turret to get a kill.
Yeah, it's quite hard to find ganks in scenarios like that. Like both bot laners have access to flash, like Ornn has the dash. You know, Gaben like flashing in to try like create that CC to, you know, really pair that with the Zac jump. It's a good try, but it's very, very hard to do, and it's just creating pressure. I don't think they're ever going to find kills like that. But it's just, you know, alleviating a bit of the early game for the Lucian Melee to be able to create snowballs in the 2v2 because, you know, they're up summoners.
So I suppose talking about overall stylistic, you know, how these teams want to try and play this game, let's touch on that in a second, as we see a little bit more aggression in the bot lane here. But for you, for Mammoth's comp, does it feel very much the same? I'll say that again, because we're just going to go for another gank as we look for Sovereign, who, to his credit, actually holds into the Valkyrie in a very prime position. Now almost like baiting things out as Fury wraps around and shows face, and that might not be enough to try and deter Mammoth, because even still they say we're going to stand staunch and plant this vision down. But I suppose the question I'm trying to ask here, Tally, is what differences do these comps have to offer in game 2, and are we almost heading towards a similar outcome where 30-40 minutes scaling becomes the conversation?
I wouldn't say there's too much of like a scaling disadvantage for either comp. I just think that Mammoth has a bit more tools in the early game to be able to, create advantages. We see Gudo invading here, and a really nice ult coming out of Praise, but he is
He is and that's all the money he has to offer. It does mean that Gudo will fall on down, and that's a bit of frustration because level 6 was found by Talia, and still Sovereign is lagging behind. He's just going to die, denied level 6, denied any kind of excitement, and a double kill goes the way of the out of mana Talia. Nice all out from Woodon to really escape out of that dire situation. That Renekton was very hungry for the kill, and a rotating, ganking Senna will get the vision, but that's about it.
Yeah, to touch back on my point earlier is that, Mammoth just has more tools on the map right now because, Poppy's just a bit stronger on the skirmishes, better at ganking than Zac is at the early levels when he doesn't have many points into his E. Senna's able to move around the map because she has the tank in Ornn in the bot lane who can just, sit back, farm with his Q, absorb the experience. He doesn't really need to get every single CS because, it's all about getting levels on Ornn, and, getting solo experience is really important in the champ as well. Getting access to, the ornaments early on in the game is important. So it's really nice by Gunkrab to move up to the mid lane to be able to impact this 2v2 and be the difference in that skirmish.
Absolutely, and it does really bode well for them, the fact that they have the freedom to leave late and find those right moments, and it does capitalize into something tangible as opposed to missed opportunities. We'll see with the repeat gank from the Zac if that finds any success, because they're going to replay upon it, telegraphing it quite easily by going aggressive on the up. There is the bounce, there is the failed, well, actually not even a failed flash, because it's right into the waiting arms of the Zac, primed and predicting, and this time they even up the scoreboard and they keep things in the balance.
Yeah, really nice from Gaben there to cancel out the dash from Voice, so he's forced to use his flash, but Refury is already on top of the ball, predicts the flash, and it's a very easy gank for him to commit there. I think that it's very surprising that Ornn falls down there because he's respecting the gank, he's playing back. So it's very unfortunate he's going to miss this entire wave, and if this keeps happening, it's going to add up over and over and over. And we see Gudo, he's prioritizing those grubs, he's making sure that he is strong. But we see Zac just on the map all the time, just impacting these lanes and just trying to be a nuisance.
Well, that's it, and that's sort of what I want to draw your attention to, right? The fact that the Zac is so far behind in comparison to the Poppy, based on farm alone, right? Gudo's obviously got the lay of the land to do as he please with vision, with invades, with lane pressure, so he sneaks away your blue buff. But is there a world in which you think, okay, the Zac can be that much of a menace that the CS becomes almost irrelevant?
Well, Zac will speed up as he gets more levels. He'll start clearing the jungle just a bit faster than Poppy will, but I don't think it's too much of a big deal. Trading lane pressure for jungle lead, because based on the matchup, nothing's really going to happen in the 1v1, and making sure your team is ahead is more important than your individual matchup. It's all about Lucian this game, it's all about Corki this game, and the rest of the champs are all about enabling the carries coming out of the KNG team comp.
So as long as the carries are happy, then there's no need to panic, is what I took away from that one. As Mammoth going to say, let's look at our first objective of this game. We've got those grubs, let's just deny them of the dragon as well, make sure they get nothing to try and salvage this early game going in their direction. It is still worth noting that there is no major gold lead yet, right? Still at 1k lead. That was really the talking point of the entire game 1.
Yeah, a lot of the gold should go towards the Mammoth team comp in the early game. I think they just have stronger lanes. They just have access to, more base stats, better spells in the early game for pushing, ganking, just overall map control. I think it'll shift back around, when we see the first lines come out, when we see the Triforce come out, when we see, Lucian. I think he's going to go for the Essence Reaver first, just so he has access to, more mana. It's just easier time to scale. That does put him on that, he's not really strong until, 3 items kind of point. So we'll have to see if Kanga does want to go for Lucian isn't online yet, we need to wait for more items. Corki's online, we need to wait for more items. Or if we are going to see the classic, fight no matter what, in the O style.
The classic, who cares about breakpoints? Nobody looks at those. I see target, I kill target. That's all we're really wanted to try and work our way towards, as we do see that situation take place topside, and superbly played by Woodon. It almost felt like Reneko was caught in a Tekken combo, juggled up for 15 years, and eventually said, go back to base, you can pick up your Black Cleaver now.
Yeah, Reneko just wasn't able to pop the dominance there in time. He gets, locked up by the CC combo coming out of Woodon, and that's just a really nice job to find the solo kill, because in the individual 1v1, he's having a really, really hard time. He's losing his plays, he's losing push, he's going down and farm, but he's just finding these solo kills twice now. As we do see Refury going with a really nice gank, no flash on Voice.
Really nice gank, buffered beautifully there by Voice, but it does make it very easy to find those 2 slappy hands to get that kill. There is the bouncing ball to knock him back, trim the wave with that culling, but also take down Voice's HP bar at the same time. Everything committed, even flashes burnt by 2. As Kanga say, we will commit 4 members, and this time we will get justice. And I suppose it does bring into question then, Vendrick given all this time to freely farm up. Would he still go for the Essence Reaver, or would he go for a more aggressive build?
Yeah, more than likely we'll see the more scaling option coming out of Lucian. I don't think the Collector is what we want to really go for this game. We're going to see way too much armor coming out of the enemy team, and it's just better to go for like I want to be really strong when I hit my my LDR, as you know, Sovereign is getting ganked here, you know, forced to blow the flash, because once again, you don't want to get caught in that Poppy W as the Corki, unable to Valk, so you know, he's decided to play a bit aggressive when he, you know, only really has the phase, and he should be focusing on, you know, collecting as much as possible and farming.
Right, you are. 10 seconds rather on that Valkyrie meant that, to be fair, it was quite cool under the pressure of sidestepping that knockback as I say that, and maybe he has greeted a little bit too much.
Oh no.
Stayed around and has paid the ultimate price. Praedyth now is 3-0 on this Taliyah. And from what we've seen of Oceanic Taliyahs, they tend to go a very tanky build, so even harder now to try and deny that bounty. Out comes the Call of the Forge God. Trim that wave, but it does look like another tile dive is inevitable. TP from this one, Voice being fancy with it. Knocking him up, flashing away, guaranteeing that the Zac is completely overextended. Yes, you can bring them back together, but the shielding, the healing, the sustain, the damage, it's just too much to get through. And eventually the Zac blobs will come out, and he is going to be sacrificed unless this TP says, no, boys, turn it around. They want a little bit more, and saving the Zac is proving to be successful.
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing happens down here on the bot lane skirmish, but at the same time, Gudo once again gets the scrubs, so that's going to be 6 scrubs going to the Mammoth side. And the amount of pressure coming out of Praedyth right now, based on how strong he is in the 1v1, he's going to be able to move around the map and make sure that his team is able to hit turrets and really, you know, my voice is losing right now, as you know, he'll be able to move around the map and just really, you know, make sure his team is able to hit these turrets and really abuse how many grubs they were able to secure in the early game.
You soldiered through that like an absolute champion, so you know, hats off to you on that one. But no, you're absolutely right. Right now, I think the mid jungle of Mammoth is absolutely terrifying. We'll run it back again to see how Sovereign did this. What has he done? Why have we done that? If a mid laner like yourself is saying that, then it's a little bit over.
No, this is just the classic, like, oh, there's no way he's still here. There's no way he's still hovering mid, and then he just, you know, goes for the trade because he sees the cooldowns down from Praedyth, and unfortunate, you know, jungle diffs, and he just sees himself going down. So this is the problem with like competitive. You don't really see people going for those really greedy trades unless there's a reason for it. And the reason was because Gudo was standing behind him.
Ah, dearie me. I suppose it is one of those very humbling lessons where you realize that what worked in Solid, you may not just work here instead, and that junglers will just sit around in the area and be an absolute menace. But to that point from before, right, the fact that Gudo is single-handedly running this jungle show, that Refury is running around the map frantically saying, well, I'm behind in camps, I had to get kills to try and at least open up one of our carry win conditions, and that primarily has been through the bot lane, but Gudo's been taking dragons, been taking all the grubs, and once Praedyth does get a chance to try and use the Weaver's Wall to access the bot lane to try and stop that from bleeding, I think it's a scary situation to find yourself in.
Yeah, definitely, as we do see the all-in on top lane, but we are seeing a gank on bot lane. If he doesn't have access to the passive here, the all-in is coming out.
2 fights on 2 very different occasions. Valkyrie with the last bit of mana, flicking Sovereign across the wall, flashing out then from the attempt of the Zac to try and shut down this Taliyah, not to be successful. The Deathless Lucian now finds his first off the game, and Gudo is running down a lonely support. They're both level 8. Who gets away? Does anybody get away? A hammer and a dream, a shield and a deny! He takes it in the end, they make it a 1-for-1! And Voice says, I've got the unsealed spellbook. TP now becomes Exhaust. Slow this Corki down and show the true power as the Dawning Shadow gets nothing.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of disrespect coming out of the KNG team. Like, they're constantly doing the same play over and over again and just not respecting the fact that, you know, Mammoth can't be there. Like, the play before, they weren't respecting their TP, and they luckily, you know, were able to escape with their own respective TP, but this time, Praedyth is there, and he is so strong. And we see a really nice ult coming out of Voice, and it's just very easy to win this team fight based on the items that they have.
Let's check in with how this all materialized in the top lane first of all, because it was to be Reneko that wins out in the end, but it's just some beautiful space. Let's check out.
Ooh, it did almost get him before he went into the turret, but unfortunately not enough damage, so he does fall down. As you see, like, Voice with a huge engage here into the knockup. He did so much damage here, and this is one of the powers of, like, playing Ornn with the center. Like, you just act as this front line, which allows center to just sit behind you and just do so much damage. You know, all the healing, all the shielding coming out of center with the ult. And it's just very easy cleanups to come out of the rest of the team.
I will say though, speaking of the bot lane, obviously being very critical of Gunkrab and Voice in terms of you know, how they've started off this split, but they're putting on a bit of a blinder here today. Whether or not it's just a combo of a center Ornn, they've found their pairing. Yeah, but haven't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, I'd say it's the pairing. I think this is a very safe bot lane. It's also, you know, one where you would you know, based on like how strong they are as veterans, it's very easy to like play with the rest of your team, pull the trigger with the Ornal, you know, impact the rest of the map with the global coming out of the center. I think that's something that's also underrated. It's like a semi-Karthus where you can really change these 1v1s. As we just see the gank coming off the bot lane.
Vendrick. Wrap around Vendrick, cleansing the culling to try and get the kill, flashing in, looking at Predator and saying, you're so keen to take me down, but denied, it's not going to happen. Reneko also may be out scot-free here, as he's going to use that blast code and say, you've actually just lost on two sides of the map at once. How about we make it a third? Because Voice is sick of being a support. He wants to be the star of the show, and he just holds back the Corki. Yeah, and really, really nice escape from Reneko there, but also Predat's W was huge. You know, really good job to really predict Vendrick's flash there as he jumped onto him and make sure he got out scot-free, because if that shutdown did go over to the Lucian, it could have been very bad, as Sovereign does have flash. Yeah, that could be very bad as well, because he's surrounded by 3 people. Give him a break. The Corki just wants to farm up, but is going to be denied that for the 4th time this game, and they can't find any salvation by taking an objective. This could be a perfect objective game, as Reneko is still in the area. There is the unstoppable frames, but the pebbles just too much to get through. And Predator is really looking to try and answer back the call and say that I should be the MVP here. Yeah, and we're seeing the amount of map control that Mammoth has right now. Like, every single play that KN goes for, there's one that's being answered. And then when that play is over, there's another proactive play coming out of Mammoth. You know, we're seeing the attack onto mid lane, we're seeing the TP onto top lane. We're seeing just the entire map being controlled by Mammoth, and after how much pressure they put into bot lane, the fact that they're unable to snowball to the solution right now is very telling of how the game state is going to be for the rest of the game. Yeah, it's very rough, right? They spent the first 15 minutes putting all their eggs into the bot lane basket, get the Lucian ahead, and he was strong. Let's be quite honest. I mean, he was quite strong in comparison, but unable to find those kills to really break open his ability to take over the game. You can sort of see that he's up there, the most fed for KNG, which makes sense based on that. But then you take stock of the others from Mammoth and say there's a bit of a canyon separating us all. We are not all on the same page, and I think at this point, given that that's, what, 2 items? Yeah, this Talia may just 1v9. Yeah, and to also touch on Reneko, I think this is his 3rd Renekton game, and every single Renekton game we have seen, he is having an impact. He is performing every single game. So it's nice to see that like this rookie he's found his footing, he's found the champion where he can just keep performing on, and probably one that teams will have to look forward in the future to, like, do we want to hand this over to Reneko? He keeps performing on it, and is it something we need to ban away? And it's always been such an interesting pick and nose, hasn't it, the Renekton? It's either, you know, you fall behind, you're 0-5 in lane, it's like, well, I can't group, I can't split push, I can't really do too much, or you're just this absolute tight end where it's like, let them split push, because I will just group up and we will win. So I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's really promising to see a new rookie come into a league and not be deterred by the big names, the flashy plays, and find yourself a comfort on a champion that has been notoriously up in the air. Let's see, I suppose, how KNG can try and bring it back, because this would be the biggest opening. Almost kind of what we expected in game 1, right, with the Karthus, just how far it felt like they were ahead, but this time we can see a tangible 6k lead in their favor. Yeah, definitely a very tall task for KNG to get back into this game. I think that a lot of their avenues will be onto the Talia in the side lane, as you just see Rufy already, like, trying to sneak into the lane and really abuse the Slayer. But the problem is that, like, he has access to the Ceres, he has access to the Flash, he's already, like, a very hard champ to take down in general. And I think that's something that would be a really good play coming out of Predator, just, you know, not being in the side lane altogether, just like grouping and playing on 2 lanes, because he is the only avenue for KNG to get back in this game, and if they want to commit the TP onto him, that would be a problem. Would have tried to force something in the mid lane here as a result, but it's not gone their way, and as a result, it's an easy turnaround for them to try and capitalize on. They look at 1, they sign a 2nd, go and take down Vendrick, and the only bit of scrap that they can find is that Vendrick will take down Gun Crab in the process, but it does feel like a bit of a default here that KNG are almost keen to sort of stay away from the 4-5v5 and just split push or constantly force out these mini skirmishes instead. Yeah, and like as I was touching on, like really nice from Predator to just rotate to the mid instead of putting himself in a position to get ganked, and his team is now rotated from bot lane, and we see Sovereign to be in the opposite position now. It's like, surprise, where are you? Oh, he's run the gauntlet! And now they said, you can't catch my Corgi. He's dodged all that CC. Out comes the Piercing Shadow from the base, but it's not enough to prevent Refury from finding the kill he's been hunting for all fight long. There it is, another passive burn. And is there a TP to back it up? It comes wood on, and it will be utilized. But no, there's the flip of the Sovereign right in his face. And that denies it. And that means that the Zac is a sitting duck. He said he's got Reneko taking a 1v2. Slicing, hacking, dicing! Nearly! Oh, ever so close to getting Gaben. And then the Observers have their work cut out because we're panning from bot to top all over the show. But the dust does settle. Yeah, we just went from absolutely nothing happening to all the action just exploding on the rest of the map.
really nice to see that, KNG were able to find that 1-for-1 trade. They're going to be happy with that. They got the shutdown from the Ornn onto the Zac, so their main engage tool has a bit more gold. He's going to be able to survive a bit longer in these team fights. Really unfortunate, that Gudo was unable to find the E flash. I think he maybe cancelled it with the flash though, and that's why he was able to do that. But a good denial to Fury, but Zac just finds the damage with the Let's Bounce and spamming the W in the middle of the team to make sure he did as much damage as possible. Really lucky though that this didn't turn out worse than it did when Sovereign went for the TP onto the blobs to make sure that Fury could maybe escape. But it's still going to be a trade in the end, 1-for-1. And, also find that pick onto Reneko. Really good job finding more gold onto Woodon. I think that's really important that he gets ahead so they have a side lane who's winning.
Well, they have a side lane that's winning, and they continue to put pressure onto Mammoth. It only takes one little slip up in the later game once these respawn timers start to really add on up. That is not the flip, and that is not the slingshot that the Zac was hoping for. Fury stuck really with nowhere else to go. A two-man center route connects, loading out the backline of KNG's squad. And the Poppy Hammer to say, get out of my face. We have asserted control of this quadrant of the map.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that KNG maybe a bit too trigger happy to engage right now. I feel like Predator is extremely strong and he can really take over these fights if he isn't the main target is being engaged on. When he gets the pebbles out, the amount of denial he can do from the dashes coming out of KNG team, the KNG team comp is very unmatched if they're under controlling output right now.
Well, let's see what they can do in the mid lane wrestle as everybody comes together and says, what, side lanes do no longer exist. We're only occupied by the allure of that potential Baron. Yet another game then for Mammoth to try and threaten themselves a Dragon Soul. Last game, KNG denied 2 in a row. They managed to purchase themselves a crucial 10 minutes, but in the end, didn't prove to really matter. And I think this is an even harder one this time, right? Because look at the amount of zoning that Mammoth do have on the Siege, on top of the 6 Void Grubs. Really, really important then for KNG to try and find a way to try and slow that down. Yeah, with the Infernal Soul coming up in 3.5 minutes, it's a much better Soul than last game. Like, this is one of the better Souls that we have on the current patch. Especially with the team comps we are seeing, I think it's going to be very easy for Mammoth to pick this one up based on the fact that they can get priority in 3 lanes, they can play for TP flanks, they can play for Talia wall to cancel the rest of the team off. I think it's pretty much just going to be, can Fury fly over the pit and steal the dragon? Or can Gudo, really deny him from getting into the pit, with the verdict to just keep it as far away from the dragon pit as possible, because I feel like the only win condition KNG have right now is to really steal this dragon and be greedy about securing as much gold as possible into their carries at the same time. So I suppose in that essence then, what would be their ideal gameplay? Is it much the same in terms of just keep split pushing, keep getting as much gold as you can, and don't take any unnecessary risks, I suppose, in terms of looking to try and claim vision or get picks off? Because you can see them attempt to go for voice here, but it's measured, right? There is no turnaround where they get punished like they had in game 1.
It's very risky, but I do think one of their win conditions is what Fury just showed on screen, is looking for these picks onto the correct members and not the Ornn. But the risk factor that comes into it is you got to worry about the TPs coming out of both solo lanes. You got to worry about the Talia ult. They will collapse first. Your solo lanes won't be able to impact because they're getting pushed in, and they got to find this pick and be able to navigate an outnumbered situation.
Let's see if the numbers will be in their favor, because right now Mammoth can really do as they please. They have the map control, they have the ability to rotate first, and they have the vision with wards all over the show to make sure that Sovereign, you've done this dance many, many times this game, and it's always landed in your untimely demise. And this may not be any different. You deny vision for a second, you buy time with the flash away, but you are simply running the wrong way. And at this point, you're thinking, well, I'm buying crucial time, I'm staggering things, but it's always a certain outcome to be expected. And no different here, as it is going to be Gudo that picks it up, making them have, 9 kills between them as a mid-jungle combo. A 3-man knockup from the Ornn. That's not too bad. The Weaver's Wall not ideal and completely blocking off the lane. They've done enough to control mids and really, I suppose, figure out their next move.
Yeah, Sovereign was trying to buy as much time as possible so the rest of his team could look for that engage onto the 4v4 and see if they were going to find a window. Mammoth do, throw out the call to Forge God, look for their own pick themselves, but it's a bit too long on the range and way too hard to find the angle. Sovereign, though, will be up for this dragon, so if they do want to contest in the 5v5 situation, they will be able to. Most ults will come back up by that time. I'm not sure if the Amelia ult will come back up on time. I think that's a really important one for dealing with the engage coming out of Mammoth.
Well, it becomes that game of chicken, really, doesn't it? Who can look to try and retain their lead for as long as possible. Mammoth up by 6,500 gold. Much to what you've mentioned before, it would take a Mammoth throw for them to fall behind. And for KNG to be given the door wide open to walk back into this one. Everybody's grouping up in mid for the meantime. Sovereign going to be keen for any time afforded to him to split push, because what? A Trinity Force and a Dream? He needs that second item. He needs much, much more when you do the tab check and say, hang on a minute, that's a clear with 3. We need all the time in the world to try and hit that breakpoint.
Yeah, that's also another downside of both the KNG carries, is their builds are very scaling heavy. It's all about like the 3.5, 4 item power spikes, and they just aren't afforded that time as the soul point is coming up right now.
As you say, the Infernal Drake has spawned, so everybody will have to forget about the side lanes for the meantime and group up as 5. Gaben unfortunately falls down low, forced to burn Flash, and down to 50. He's going to say, what can we find as a result? Refury says it's our time to bounce, matching the Flash, but unable to find anything from that. So that's another crucial tool denied from this upcoming Dragon fight. The culling goes out, pads them low, voice soaks as much as he can, and the Valkyrie into the face. Sovereign, what are we doing? It's easy then for Mammoth to open up the bloodshed by finding 1. Refury jumps in a second time, knocks up 2, and says, team, do we have the damage to find the kills? The front line walks in, but the front line falls. And then that means it's ever too easy then for Mammoth to stand and deliver and to do criminal amounts of damage to look for the end.
Yeah, I just think the team strength coming out of Mammoth right now is just a bit too easy to navigate these team fights. Pray that Flash is the engage from Refury, and that's their one window to really find their engage, so it's pretty easy going forward in the team fight. Even though we do see Sovereign Valkyrie forward into 5 members and go down, I don't really think it would have changed the team fight or the game state if he was alive. It's just very easy for Mammoth based on like the gold lead and the amount of items that they picked up to this, close this game out from this point.
We tried to find an avenue a way back into this for KNG, but it's been a little bit too hard. Too much damage here for the Slayers you saw from this initial play, but then from then on, just that disconnect between tanks going in and backlines being able to assist. Mammoth are really causing a bit of a headache.
Yeah, definitely. Like we see the constant like ping pong in team fights, but this definitely favors Mammoth. They have more tools to disengage and re-engage, whereas the KNG comp has one go. Like we do see the Sovereign feels a bit pressured to go in. Valkyrie's into 5 people, falls down. Can't blame him for trying, but like based on the game state, it's just too easy for Mammoth to just take over these team fights, and like Uncrowd just always going to be sitting behind the rest of his team and doing so much DPS.
All we're thinking now is, if this was the old Corki that was a package, that is a winnable fight, isn't it?
No, that's what he thought.
The rework.
He thought it was...
Maybe not.
He thought he had the package.
He thought he had the package. It wasn't there. It's GG, blame Freak. It is what it is. But this is the outcome that Mammoth would have been hunting for all series long. They're up by 10k. They've got an Infernal Soul. They've got every single objective that is afforded to them. And this is them showcasing that, look, there are levels to this. We both came into this one without a single win. But, yeah, good luck now, because we're looking to close it out with the perfect 2-0.
Yeah, also with this Baron, I think that it will be a push they're able to end on. I think they have so much pressure, as they are going into mid lane, but we do have Predator coming in with the ult. That's probably on the wrong side, unfortunately, so he's unable to impact this team fight. We'll have to see what they can do with the flank.
He's blocked himself, but if he blocked his team's chances of winning this fight, I do not think so, because they walk straight in and they remove the support very handily with a single swift of spells. And they see that 2 lanes are colliding out once, so rather than go and push those in, let's just farm even more kills. Refury next on the chopping block, down for 40 seconds as the cannon, inspired by the Baron buff, that single-handedly is taking down the turret for them, as they still have their eyes to the prize, which is to destroy this base and look to send them to the afterlife to guarantee all the points go away. And it just becomes a bit of a 1-for-1 in that members are just falling down and staggering their respawns.
Yeah, this is also the strength of the 6 grubs coming through. It's going to be very easy for the Uncrowd to do so much damage to these towers by himself with the double cannons, and the Nexus is exposed, and we'll see if they can end with this Baron right here.
TP to guarantee that wave is not going anywhere anytime soon. One on in with that last breath of attention to see, can I do anything? Can I find anything? And the answer is no. Well, in the end, Mammoth answer the call. They say that our playoff dream is still alive, especially as they take all 3 points tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Picking up the 3 points is such a big deal for Mammoth. I think they had a really good showing against a team that we would consider like on their level or maybe even below them after the strong performance that they showed today. I think that, Mammoth still have a lot to show, and, are they contenders for playoffs? We're going to have to see in the following weeks.
There still is going to be a massive uphill battle for them, but that's a surge of confidence they've been sorely desiring. 3 points when you need it. As for KNG, commiserations for them. Still yet to find a victory, and still a long road ahead of them for the rest of the LCO split to play out with. And it feels like at this time, it does feel like